I believe in America. America has been my good fortune. And I raised my family in the American fashion. I gave them freedom, but I taught them never to dishonor their family. They found love in America, not Italian, but they found love. They enjoyed the great movies, and they stayed out late. But then came the coronavirus. Many protested in the streets, but I did not protest. Several months ago, they produced the vaccine, an amazing time. Those amazing Americans. And a drive began to get everyone in America vaccinated. They made my family take the vaccine because they said that vaccines are science, and it is not wise to defy the science, which sounded like common sense. But still I resisted. I kept my honor. So they beat me like an animal. I was singled out. I was criticized. I was made to feel ashamed for not being like the others. But America was not supposed to be like the old country. We were like the mice when we came to America, and we were told that there were no cats in America. How could this happen in America, the land of great opportunity in which I had believed had been my good fortune, where I had raised my family in an American fashion? How could the America that I loved say to me that they did not love me because I was different? But I didn't weep. I went to the police like a good American. I went to the courts like a good American. But nobody was ever brought to trial. They just dismissed my case, and the others went free. In America, the land of opportunity in which I had believed, which had been my good fortune, where I had raised my family in an American fashion, in an American way. How could the America that I had loved so much say to me that they did not love me? I stood in the courtroom like a fool, and those bastards, they smiled at me. Then I said to myself, for justice, we must go to Don Corleone. I am not the nation's leading infectious control disease expert, but let's just talk common sense about the virus. Last year, not to be political, but we had a president who was opposed to many of our government scientists. And again, not to be political, as the CDC has stated, last year was the deadliest year in American history, with over 610,000 lives that were lost to the virus. The situation speaks for itself. I am not from Brooklyn, but in Brooklyn we are just common sense people. And let's face it, folks, science should not be political. The former president had described the virus as a hoax. He refused to wear the mask and he got infected. Need I say more? The situation speaks for itself, and I am sure that you will agree. In December, the science community began a vaccination program to provide a little wiggle room, delivering vials of Pfizer vaccine to the various state health departments and directors. And in December, with the nation's only physician serving as a state governor, a good friend of ours, and I'm sure yours too, Governor Ralph Northam, in attendance. Rather than taking the vaccines for himself personally, being selfish, to prevent an illness that he had himself experienced personally, along with his loving wife, he offered that opportunity for a vaccine, the first vaccine, to an African-American worker in the emergency room of the Centera Hospital in Norfolk. A moving moment, proving to everyone that the vaccine is totally safe. Doctors at the CDC had determined that our hospital workers on the front lines should be the very first to be vaccinated. And not long after that historic moment, with cheers around the governor, a good friend of ours hosted an event at the Richmond Speedway to ensure that the elderly in the Commonwealth of Virginia, too, could be administered this safe vaccine. The elderly who, from the beginning, have been a known fatality risk to the virus. So, using common sense, just ask yourself, doesn't a doctor know what is best when it comes to your health? You look like an intelligent person. We must work together to stop the virus. Many, especially recently, have expressed their concerns about adverse reactions after taking the vaccines. Myocarditis in younger people, and most recently some reports of neurological disorders after being administered the adenovirus-based one-shot treatment regimen offered by Johnson & Johnson. But let me assure you that the FDA now has placed a warning label to inform you about those potential risks. But still, let me be honest. Just look at the math. If you are infected, you have a 1.8% chance of becoming a fatality. 1.8%, and you look like an intelligent person. 1.8% may sound like a very small number, but trust me, any doctor can tell you that you don't want to die. You don't want to be that person who refused to take the vaccine, who got infected, bringing trauma to your family and friends through your suffering, leaving them perplexed at your funeral for refusing to use just plain common sense, refusing a free vaccine, no cost to you, that could have saved your life. A clearly avoidable and senseless loss not to let the virus deliver you your knockout punch. I simply don't understand, and I am sure that you feel the same, why anyone would not just listen to the science. It's just common sense. Still, and I am sure that you know, as many as 1/4 of Americans have said that they will refuse to be administered the vaccines, and perhaps like the mandate for seatbelts to prevent fatalities in automobile accidents, which exceeded 36,000 in the year prior to the pandemic, the president should have and could have simply made vaccines mandatory. But rather he chose, in respect to you, to respect your choice as an intelligent person, to simply do the right thing. But let me be honest again. You know the president, just as we all do, and he simply would not say this himself. That is an offer that you simply can't refuse. There are countless stories of persons and even families who refuse to accept the free vaccines. Take the virus seriously. And sadly, many of them, well, let me just say, regretfully, may they rest in peace. The departed tell the sad story of refusing the science. Do the math. There have been over 33 million infections in America, over 683,000 in Virginia alone, and that is about 8% of the entire state population of 8.4 million. I'm not going to twist your arm because that would be extortion. Do the math. It's just common sense. It is very simple to understand. It is very possible that you too could be infected. 8% infected, and that's not a joke. And sadly, if you are one of those 8% who do get infected, without the protection of this free vaccine, there is a 4.5% chance that you may find yourself in a hospital bed. 4.5%. Think about that. That means that if you are not vaccinated, 93.5% of those who are unvaccinated will not go to the hospital, will not be in a hospital bed, 93.5%. But it is still possible that you might be in that 4.5% that will. You wouldn't want to take that risk. You wouldn't want to do that to yourself. You wouldn't want to do that to your friends and family. What intelligent person would refuse the vaccine knowing those numbers, folks? And you look like an intelligent person. So in closing, let me just say this. Like you probably would say too, I believe in America. And I understand that you found paradise in America, had a good trade and made a good living. But not for the virus that ruined your paradise. Many of your good friends and loved ones may not be lost today to the virus. And let me just add that if by chance an honest man such as yourself should come upon misfortune, as an American, then your suffering too would be mine as your friend. And we could work through this together, because togetherness is good, teamwork. And we should do that because that is the right thing to do. And I am confident that someday, and that day may never come, I may call upon you too to do a service for me. But until that day, please accept this vaccine as a gift from the President to you on the anniversary of our country's Independence Day. And you look like an intelligent person. I am not a scientist, but I believe in America. I believe in science. I believed in the American way, in America. 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 The land of my opportunity, in which I had believed. The land that had been my good fortune. The land where I had raised my family in an American fashion. How could the America that I loved so much say to me that they did not love me? I stood in the courtroom like a fool. And those bastards, they smiled at me. Then I said to myself, for justice, for justice, for justice, we must go to Don Corio.
This advertisement was authorized by Mike Webb.
And so, certainly you agree with everything that we have talked about in these few moments. And so if right now, if you were to tell me that you refuse to be vaccinated with all that you know, then you are telling me that you simply don't love your life.